You might think you know drama, but no one was ready for the chaos that unfolded when the Grammy Awards revealed their biggest surprise in 2026. The aftermath was more tumultuous than anyone expected. Picture this: the music industry's most prestigious evening, with cameras flashing, celebrities dressed in designer outfits, champagne flowing, and then, out of nowhere, the announcement of the Album of the Year winner. Kendrick Lamar's name echoed throughout the venue, and the mood shifted dramatically. You could feel the tension in the air, crackling like electricity before a storm. But then, things took an unexpected turn. Drake, one of the industry's biggest stars who has dominated the charts for over a decade, didn't just show disappointment. He launched into a series of shocking accusations that left everyone speechless. The streets buzzed with excitement, social media erupted, and what should have been Kendrick's triumphant moment turned into the most talked about controversy in hip-hop history. Welcome to Celebrity Rap Life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary, because in Celebrity Rap Life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next. Now, before we dive deep into this mess, you gotta understand the history between these two. Drake and Kendrick haven't exactly been sending each other Christmas cards for years. There's been this underlying tension, this competitive energy that's been simmering just beneath the surface of the rap game for what feels like forever. Both of them are titans in their own right. Both have armies of fans who would go to war for them, and both have been chasing that ultimate validation, that crown that says you're not just good, you're the best. So when Grammy night rolled around in 2026, everybody who knows anything about hip-hop knew this wasn't just another award show. This was a showdown, even if nobody was standing face-to-face. The nominees were stacked, the competition was fierce, but when you really broke it down, most people saw it as Drake versus Kendrick, round whatever we're on now in their never-ending rivalry. Drake had dropped an album that year that shattered streaming records like they were made of glass. We're talking numbers that most artists only dream about in their wildest fantasies. The man had hits on top of hits, songs that dominated every radio station, every club, every car stereo, from Toronto to Los Angeles, and everywhere in between. His fans were absolutely convinced that this was his year, that finally the Grammys would give him his flowers, that Album of the Year trophy with his name on it. They flooded social media with predictions, created countdowns, made elaborate posts about why Drake deserved it more than anyone else in the running. The confidence was unreal, almost like they could already see him holding that golden gramophone, giving his acceptance speech, cementing his legacy even further. But Kendrick had come through with something different. His album wasn't just music, it was an experience, a statement, the kind of project that music critics write essays about and college professors analyze in their classes. He'd pushed boundaries, experimented with sounds, delivered lyrics that cut deep into social issues, personal struggles, and the state of the world. It was the kind of album that doesn't just entertain, it challenges you, makes you think, maybe even makes you uncomfortable in the best way possible. So there they were, Grammy night, February 2026, and the moment arrives. The presenter opens that envelope, and when Kendrick Lamar's name comes out, half the room erupts in applause, while the other half sits there stunned, trying to process what just happened. Kendrick walks up to that stage, probably feeling on top of the world, ready to accept what many would say is the highest honor in music. But while he's up there giving his speech, thanking his team, his family, his city, somewhere else, Drake is watching, and whatever he's feeling in that moment, it ain't good. The cameras catch glimpses of reactions throughout the audience, people clapping politely, some genuinely excited, others looking like they just witnessed something they can't quite believe. And that's when the real story begins, because what happened next is what turned this from just another Grammy upset into a full-blown situation that had the entire music world picking sides. Within hours, and I mean hours, not even a full day, Drake hits social media with a post that sends shockwaves through the internet. He's not congratulating Kendrick, he's not taking the loss gracefully, he's coming with accusations. According to Drake, something wasn't right about how this whole thing went down. He starts talking about politics in the music industry, about how certain artists get pushed by the establishment, while others get overlooked no matter what they accomplish. He's suggesting that Kendrick's win wasn't just about the music, that there were other factors at play, things happening behind closed doors that the public doesn't see. He's implying that the Grammys had an agenda, that they wanted to give it to Kendrick for reasons that had nothing to do with who actually made the better album. Now, Drake doesn't come right out and say the whole thing was rigged, but he's dancing around it in a way that makes it crystal clear what he's getting at. He's talking about how his numbers speak for themselves, how the people, the real fans out there who actually buy and stream music, chose his album over everyone else's. And if the award was really about impact and success, there's no question who should have won. The response from Drake's fanbase was immediate and it was massive. These people didn't just disagree with the decision, they were genuinely angry, like personally offended by what went down. Social media became a war zone overnight. Drake fans started creating hashtags, trending topics, posting long threads breaking down why Drake got robbed. They pulled up statistics, streaming numbers, chart positions, sales figures, radio play data, everything they could find to prove that mathematically, scientifically, by any objective measure, Drake's album was bigger. Some of them started conspiracy theories, talking about how the Grammys voting process is broken, how it's all controlled by a small group of industry insiders who don't care what regular people actually listen to. Others went after Kendrick directly, saying his album was overhyped, that critics loved it because it made them feel smart, but that real music fans, everyday people, connected more with Drake's work. The energy was wild, chaotic, and showed no signs of slowing down. But here's where it gets even more complicated, because Kendrick's fans weren't about to just sit back and let Drake and his supporters trash their guy's accomplishment. They came back hard, defending the win with just as much passion, maybe even more. They argued that Album of the Year isn't supposed to be about who sold the most copies or got the most streams. It's about artistic excellence, about which album actually pushed music forward, which project will be remembered 10, 20 years from now as something special. They pointed out that Drake makes great music, sure, but it's designed to be catchy, to dominate playlists, to be commercial. Kendrick, on the other hand, was making art with a capital A, something that challenged the listener, that took risks, that meant something deeper than just being a vibe. The debates got heated, even personal, with both sides absolutely convinced they were right and the other side just didn't get it. Meanwhile, other artists started weighing in, some supporting Drake, some backing Kendrick, and a few smart ones staying completely out of it because they could see this was about to get messy. Industry insiders, producers, songwriters, people who've been in the game for decades started giving their takes. Some agreed with Drake that the Grammys have a history of overlooking commercial success in favor of what they think is more respectable or artistic. Others said that's exactly how it should be, that if we just gave awards based on popularity, we might as well replace the whole voting process with a Spotify counter. Music journalists wrote think pieces, podcasts dedicated entire episodes to breaking down the controversy. Even mainstream news outlets picked up the story because it had gotten that big, that impossible to ignore. Drake didn't stop with just one post either. Over the following days and weeks, he kept dropping hints, making comments, liking posts from fans who supported his position. Some people said he was being a sore loser, that he needed to take the L with grace and move on. Others respected him for standing up for himself, for not just accepting what he felt was an injustice. The thing about Drake is he's never been the type to just smile and play nice when he feels wronged. He's built his whole career on being authentic, on saying what's on his mind, on turning his feelings into music and moments that resonate with millions of people. So to him, staying quiet probably felt like betraying who he is, like letting the narrative be written without his voice in it.
Kendrick, for his part, mostly stayed quiet during the initial explosion of controversy. He'd said his piece in his acceptance speech, thanked the people who mattered to him, and seemed content to let the music speak for itself. But his silence almost made things more intense because people kept wondering if he'd respond, if he'd address Drake's accusations, if he felt any type of way about his big moment being overshadowed by all this drama. Some fans saw his silence as classy, as taking the high road. Others saw it as strategic, as not giving Drake's complaints the oxygen they needed to really take off. Either way, Kendrick wasn't engaging in the public back and forth, at least not directly, though some people started analyzing his social media posts, looking for subliminal messages or hidden meanings. The whole situation exposed something deeper about music culture right now, about how we measure success, about what really matters when we're talking about great art. Is it about moving units and breaking records, or is it about creating something that stands the test of time, that contributes to the culture in a meaningful way? Drake's fans would argue that his cultural impact is undeniable, that his music soundtracks people's real lives, their relationships, their parties, their daily commutes. Kendrick supporters would counter that impact isn't just about being everywhere, it's about being important, about saying something that needs to be said in a way nobody else could say it. Both sides had valid points, which is exactly why this debate got so intense and refused to settle down. As weeks turned into months, the controversy became part of music history, one of those moments people would reference for years to come. It sparked conversations about race, about artistic integrity, about the relationship between commercial success and critical acclaim. Some people used it as evidence that the Grammys were out of touch and needed to completely overhaul their voting process. Others said it proved the Grammys still mattered, that they could still create moments that got everyone talking, that made people care. The accusations Drake leveled didn't just fade away either. They lingered, creating doubt in some people's minds about whether Kendrick's win was truly earned or influenced by factors beyond just the quality of the music. What made this whole thing even more fascinating was watching how it played out across different generations and demographics. Older hip-hop heads tended to side more with Kendrick, seeing his win as a victory for real artistry over commercial formula. Younger fans, the ones who grew up with Drake as their defining artist, couldn't understand how anyone could deny his dominance. People in the industry, the ones who understood how these awards actually work, had their own complex opinions about whether the system was fair or broken. And through it all, both Drake and Kendrick's careers kept moving forward, because at the end of the day, one Grammy win or loss wasn't going to define either of their legacies, even if it felt like the most important thing in the world for those few weeks after the ceremony. The streets are still talking about it, fans are still debating it, and the question of who really deserved that trophy in 2026 remains one of the hottest arguments in hip-hop, with no clear answer in sight, and no shortage of people ready to defend their position until the very end. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.